All right, it's 10:15. Let's rock and roll this thing so you guys can get done and get off these computers for the week. All right, so we're going to be doing a little bit of review with this many people on right now. It's hard for me to be able to give everybody a chance to speak. So we're going to use the Padlet as your voice, and I'm going to put up one question, and I want everybody to post. So you're going to post your answer in the Padlet. Time is important, so don't spend a lot of time looking. If you don't know it, just don't post. From what I've seen, I've checked a lot of your Sunlit Ocean assignments and all but 3 of the Twilight Ocean assignments. So you guys have a good grasp on what's going on already, I think. The link to the Padlet's in the chat if you need access to that. A couple other things. Tuesday is a work day, a teacher work day, which means I will not have any work assigned that day. That doesn't mean you can't log on if you want to choose to work ahead. That's up to you, but there isn't going to be anything required or anything listed for Tuesday the 5th. So I wanted you to know that up front. All right, so you're going to post your answers in Padlet. Try to watch what other people are posting if you're taking a little bit of extra time. Kind of just watch what other people are posting and try to post something that's a little different, because there's going to be more than one answer. Be kind, okay? Because you're going to be posting comments on other people's posts as well. So one comment, one post per question, one comment per question. So choose wisely which comment you're going to make. Remember, be kind, okay? If you think that they are not exactly correct, offer a hint, offer some help, but be kind in it. Any questions about that before we start? Okay, so I will post one question up on the screen. You can post in Padlet. When I feel like we've exhausted that, I will clear the Padlet and then put up the next question. So try to be patient, because this is the first time I've done it like this, so we'll see how this works. All right, here you go. First one, characteristics of the euphotic zone. Give me 2 characteristics of the euphotic zone. So it could be any 2. You did the sunlit zone. You did the sunlit zone the art assignment. So any 2 things that have to do with the euphotic zone. I'll give you about a minute to post that. See 8 of the 12 of you posting. That's good. See some very common answers. About 30 seconds. Okay, let's see what we've got here. Very common answers. Lots of sunlight. Lots of flora, plants, which are the same thing. Diversity of animals. Good. Photosynthesis occurs in this zone. Excellent. Anything else that might, now you don't have to type this. If somebody wants to turn their microphone on and add a little bit here, and then we can get one of you just to type whatever is said, just so we can make sure it's on the screen. Anything else that we can add to the euphotic zone? I think you've covered a lot of it. I can think of 1, maybe 2 other things that you haven't covered yet. Connor, good. Ocean light layer that's closest to the surface. What about depth? Is the euphotic zone a consistent depth, the same depth all over the place? Anyone? Anyone? Okay, something we can add. Touches the coast, changes the depth. What determines how deep the euphotic zone goes? That's the question. Okay, 50 feet when the water's murky. Okay, Sarah. So what determines how deep the euphotic zone goes?
How clear or murky the water is.
Excellent. How clear or murky the water is. That's important because if you go down to the Caribbean, down to the Bahamas, down to the Florida Keys, it can actually go 100, 150 feet down, and it's clear. You can see all the way to the bottom. So it's not just a specific distance down, not just 50 feet, but as clear as the water can be for photosynthesis to take place. It could be 50 feet, it could be 300 feet. But the clarity of the water or the murkiness of the water will determine that. Good. Let me clear this, and we'll go to the next question. All right, next question. Same question. 2 characteristics of the dysphotic zone. 2 characteristics of the dysphotic zone. Go. I'll give you a minute. About 25 seconds. All right, let's look at what you got here. Not enough light for photosynthesis. Good. Willow, you said that. Lily said that. Amount of light decreases as you go deeper. Good, Victoria. Photosynthesis cannot happen. Those 2 pieces go hand in hand. So make sure to keep those together. There is enough sunlight to see. Somebody said this. Let me see if I can find who said it. Caden. Enough light to see, but not enough to do photosynthesis. Okay, so those 2 pieces go together. You can't just say one or the other because one explains the other. So you have to have both. So there is light to see, but not enough for photosynthesis. I see Catherine and Ashley, Hillary, bioluminescence, good. Counter illumination, good. I see a couple of those on there as well. Depth changes depends on murkiness. That's true too. So if photosynthesis doesn't take place, where does food come from? Don't have to type it, just say it.
The euphotic.
What do you mean? You're right.
Animals will wander down there. They just get eaten.
Excellent. Way to further explain her statement, because she's absolutely right. The food, most of the food comes from the euphotic zone, or what's the other option?
They eat each other.
They eat each other, right? So there are animals in this zone, correct?
Yeah.
Thank you, Caden. All right, let me clear this one. We'll go to the next one. You guys seem to have a good grasp on this one. All right, next one is a little simpler. The aphotic zone. Just give me a single characteristic of the aphotic zone. Give you about 30 seconds. About 15. All right. You guys really covered this well. Nice job. I was going to ask the question, is there light? But some of you already nailed it with that. You said no sunlight. Catherine said that there's bioluminescence. And Victoria said that there's bioluminescence. So there's no sunlight, but there is light coming from bioluminescence. So you guys nailed that. It's good. It is the dark zone, and 2 or 3 of you also said high pressure. The pressure gets higher as the deeper you go. There are a few animals. Charlotte nailed that one. Good. Anything else that we could add to this? You guys pretty much nailed it. Good job. All right, next piece. Give me a characteristic of upwelling. A characteristic of upwelling. I'll give you about a minute. Okay, let's look and see what you have here. Let me walk through this. Okay, I'm looking at your answers. And you have the basic grasp of upwelling, but nobody mentioned what causes the warm water to move. This is a very important piece of upwelling. What? Okay, you don't have to type it. Just turn your mic on. There we go. I see it, Alyssa. Wind causes upwelling. So you've got what we call offshore winds, winds blowing from land to ocean, that's pushing that warm water out. And then everybody, it seems like almost everybody picks up this piece right here. When that warm water gets pushed out, the cold water from down below comes up. When that cold water comes up, you've got the nutrients, and that nutrients, and I see a couple of you posted this too, creates diversity in life, lots of food, which means lots of animals. Okay, so don't forget that starting piece. You've got to have the wind blowing the water out to be able to cause the upwelling. Okay, so you guys have some good pieces here. Just don't forget that initial starting piece of the wind. Good job, Alyssa. All right, switch to the next one. 2 more to go, and we're done. Give me a characteristic, one characteristic of a hydrothermal vent. I'll give you about 30 seconds on this one. I'm going to let this go a couple seconds longer. Okay, seem to have very consistent answers across the board, talking about very hot water coming out of an opening on the seafloor, near active volcanoes or where tectonic plates come together, warm water and nutrients. So you have the basic understanding of hydrothermal vent, but when we say nutrients are coming out of the hydrothermal vent, what kind of materials are coming out of the hydrothermal vent besides water? Okay, just think about that for a second. Let's back up just a hair and talk. I need somebody to turn their microphone on and help me out here. Where are hydrothermal vents found? Which zone?
Apophobic.
The aphotic zone, which means there's no... Somebody other than Caden. Somebody other than Caden. No sunlight. Good. So if there's no sunlight down there, where are these animals getting their food?
From the vents.
Okay. What's going on with the animals getting food from the vent? Remember, we're talking about 750-degree water. What kind of nutrients, what kind of things are coming out of the vent? You remember the hydrothermal vent video? Methane, hydrocarbons, okay? Things that to us are poisonous. But what's going on with those things and the animals that live there? How are they producing food? I'm going to start calling people out. Somebody else answer. Caden's got an A+ for today because he's answering all the questions. You know what I used to say? Don't be voluntold, better volunteer. What process do plants use to create food?
Photosynthesis.
Right. Very good. Can that take place at a hydrothermal vent?
No.
Why?
Because there's no sunlight.
There's no sunlight. Good. So what is there to be able to create food from? You said methane.
The methane.
The
water.
Okay, the nutrients in the water, the methane, the hydrocarbons. What's just a general term for those? Chemicals. So what process do those animals use? Do you remember? Getting closer. Chemosynthesis. That was in the video talking about how the animals at the hydrothermal vents make food. They pull the chemicals out of the water and they use those chemicals and they turn those chemicals into food. So what makes hydrothermal vents so interesting is the fact that you've got the hot water 750, 752 degrees Fahrenheit. You've got these poisonous chemicals coming out of this vent. Yet you've got these bacteria, these microbes that can take those chemicals and survive in this hot temperature, turn it into food, and then the other animals down there, of course, eat the microbes and the other animals that can do chemosynthesis. So there are two ways to create food. If there's sunlight, it's photosynthesis. If there's no sunlight, it's chemosynthesis. So you have to understand that there's two pieces to this puzzle. We get so used to living in our lives that all of our food, if you take it back to the beginning, all of our food comes from photosynthesis. Whether it's the steak you eat, whether it's the chicken that you eat, whether it's the salad you eat, it all eventually goes back all the way to photosynthesis. But down at these hydrothermal vents, the food comes from the chemicals that are there and the microbes that can take those chemicals and turn them into food for the other animals that are living there. Does that help clarify a little bit?
Yes.
Okay. So you guys got the basics good. I just want you to pick up on those other pieces, okay? So let's look at the last one for today, and you probably know what's coming. Cold seeps. So using what we just talked about with hydrothermal vents, give me one characteristic of a cold seep. All right, Connor says methane. Good. Methane is one of the main things released from a cold seep. Sarah says it too. Caden says natural gas can also be released, which is correct. Ashley says it's a slower process. It is. It's a lot slower than a hydrothermal vent. Catherine said that as well. Tiffany says because of tectonic activity, which is correct. Sarah says there's more methane, natural gas in the ocean than on the rest of the surface, which is absolutely correct. Which one lasts longer, hydrothermal vent or cold seep?
The cold seep.
Very good. And Will is right. Cold seeps also release the nutrients as well. All right. Seems like you guys have a pretty good grasp on this. Caden, I sent you a message in the chat, so if you could just respond back to me on that. Everybody else, this is what I would like you to do. Unless you have any questions, if you have a question or a concern, just stick around and chat with me once everybody else heads on their way. Complete the Midnight Zone assignment that's listed in the playlist for today. And then when that's done, go to Clever, Mastery Connect. You guys know the routine. Clever, Mastery Connect, and then do the Ocean Layers, Upwelling, and Vents CFA. It is not released. As soon as I hang up with you, I will push it so it'll be there for you. Any questions for me today? I take that's a no. Have a nice day. Have a good weekend.